Hi, my name is Sophie, and today we're going to talk about the section 4.3 of the ACE International History textbook. Why did the Chinese Communist Party, also known as the CCP, gain support up to 1945? This is the only key term. Pause if needed. Moving on. And first, let's talk about the results of the Long March and the leadership of Mao Zedong. By 1936, after the Long March, CCP survivors established a secure base in the Shaanxi province, protected from KMT attacks. The Xi'an incident created a temporary truce between CCP and KMT, allowing the CCP to recover and rebuild. The Long March was a military retreat with around 90% losses, but CCP propaganda presented it as a heroic achievement. Events like the looting bridge crossing were exaggerated to show bravery and resilience. This helped build support, especially among peasants. Mao introduced the quote-unquote 8 points for attention, which required Red Army soldiers to respect peasants and their property. This directly contrasted with warlord and KMT abuses and helped with peasant loyalty. Mao argued that China's revolution should be peasant-based due to the small industrial working class. Mao focused on two priorities: to gain peasant support through political policies and to secure full control of the CCP by removing rivals such as the supporters of the Soviet-style revolution like Wang Ming and the 28 Bolsheviks. Next, let's talk about the Yan'an Soviet, land reform, and the rectification campaign. From 1936, the CCP established its base in Yan'an. Party members lived among peasants, providing education, basic healthcare, and fair treatment, which increased support. Land reforms involved confiscating land from landlords and redistributing it to peasants. And this directly addressed rural inequality and high rents, gaining strong backing from poor farmers. Foreign observers like Edgar Snow reported positively on Yan'an, describing it as an organized and fair. These reports increased CCP credibility internationally, though access was controlled and negative aspects were actually hidden. Between 1941 and 1944, Mao launched the rectification campaign to eliminate opposition within the CCP. It began as ideological training but became a purge involving arrests, torture, and forced confessions under figures like Kang Sheng. Thousands were killed or removed. By the end, Mao had complete control over the CCP and a unified ideology. Next, let's talk about the impact of war with Japan after the Second Sino-Japanese War. The CCP used propaganda to present itself as a true defender of China. While the KMT fought most large battles, the CCP focused on guerrilla warfare and expanding control in rural areas abandoned by the KMT. This allowed the CCP to grow its influence without the direct large-scale confrontation by the KMT. Events like the Nanjing Massacre highlighted KMT failures to protect civilians. The CCP used this to increase support by appealing to nationalism and resisting against Japan. Next, let's talk about the unpopularity of Chiang Kai-shek and the KMT. Early support declined after 1927 because promised reforms were not delivered. Land remained concentrated among wealthy landlords, leaving tens of millions of peasants landless. Working conditions remained poor despite limited reforms. Corruption weakened the government, including reliance on the opium trade for revenue. Political repression, censorship, and lack of democracy further reduced support. The New Life movement promoted discipline and traditional values but failed to address economic problems and was seen as authoritarian. Military failures against Japan damaged KMT credibility. Retreats, destruction of land, and inability to defend civilians made the government appear weak. And in contrast, the CCP gained support through the land reform, discipline, and effective propaganda. Additionally, nationalist appeal. By 1945, After Japan's defeat, the CCP had expanded its base, increased peasant support, and positioned itself as a strong alternative to the KMT, setting the stage for renewed civil war. This is the timeline, and that's it.